Good day, everyone. Today, I want to look at a topic in physical health education. We want to look at a topic called communicable and non communicable disease. Let's see what you stand to gain at the end of this lesson. At the end of this lesson, we'll be able to define communicable disease. Two, we'll be able to state the difference between communicable and non communicable disease. And three, we were able to outline some of the ways of spreading communicable disease. Let's take our first objective by looking at the meaning of communicable disease. Communicable disease is any disease which can be passed from one person to another by direct or indirect contact is called communicable disease. It's a disease that can be transferred from one person to another by directly or indirectly is called communicable disease. Communicable disease can be spread through the following ways. Let's look at the ways that communicable disease can be spread. One is bodily contact with infected person. Example like AIDS, like syphilis, like ringworm, and COVID-19, the one that is invoked now. Let's look at the patient suffering from HIV/AIDS. You can see a patient suffering from HIV/AIDS as an example of communicable disease. Let's see another example of someone suffering from COVID-19, popularly called coronavirus, as an example of communicable disease. You can see a patient suffering from COVID-19, popularly called coronavirus, as an example of communicable disease. We are looking at the ways that communicable disease can be transferred from one person to another. First one, we said that is through body contact. Take note. Let's move ahead. Two, contaminated food and water. An example like diarrhea, like cholera and typhoid are the example of communicable disease. You can see a cholera patient, you can see a diarrhea patient suffering from diarrhea as an example of communicable disease. Let's move ahead. Insect bite like malaria and rest of them. Through insect bites, communicable disease can be transferred from one person to another. Fourth one is animal bite like rabies. Through animal bite, communicable disease can be transferred from one person to another. You can see two patients suffering from rabies due to animal bite that transfer communicable disease to them. Non-communicable disease, any disease which cannot be transferred from one person to another is known as non-communicable disease. A disease which cannot be transferred from one person to another. Now remember what we said, that communicable is a type of disease that can be transferred from one person to another, but non-communicable is a type of disease which cannot be transferred from one person to another. Please take note. Okay. The disease like those inherited through parent due to food deficiency like kwashiorkor are the example of non-communicable disease, like heart disease, or due to malfunction of organ like kidney failure are the example of non-communicable disease. Please take note. Let's proceed. Example of such disease are cardiac stroke. Let's see a patient suffering from cardiac stroke. You can see a patient suffering from cardiac stroke. She cannot stand up without assistance of a nurse or a medical doctor or somebody within. Let's see example of a paralysis as an example of non-communicable disease. You can see someone suffering from stroke. He cannot stand up from the wheelchair and he cannot move without assistance of the wheelchairs. These are the example of non-communicable disease. Now remember what I said, that communicable is the one that can be transferred from one person to another. Non-communicable is an example, is a type of disease that cannot be transferred. And we listed an example of communicable like AIDS, like COVID-19, and rest of them. And also listed an example of non-communicable as cardiac stroke and paralysis and rest of them. Please take note. See you next in our next class. Be a good girl and be a good boy at home. Stay safe and stay secured. God bless you all.